when I introduce myself, I'm from Korea, then the follow-up question usually comes up, are you from North or South? So, like, I'm sure someone has asked that question. It's not really offensive question, but I think it's a bit ignorant question. Like, have you been in the news? Like, would I be in the US if I were from?
It is kind of an ignorant question because you can't really leave North Korea. But is that an offensive thing to ask?
With white people in the United States.
So my first experience is in the first year seminar class. It was like one of the first conversations I had. It was with a white dude. He just he said, "Do you ride camels?"
Yeah.
And he looked like really like he was asking really do you ride camels? So he wasn't even joking. He wasn't sarcastic,
Dude. So what you discovered about white people, at least this guy, is he's really interested in camels. All right. So what else? Okay, but what else? Like, what's just your general when you go out in public? It's like, what's your experience of white people?
Okay, one time I was in Beaver Stadium. Okay,
Yeah.
I was waiting for my friends, and this guy comes. Okay, he was offering me a beer. I said oh, I'm a minor. I didn't want to say I'm a Muslim. I just said, oh, I'm a minor. I can't drink. I look young. So I was like, I'm a minor, and he was like, oh yeah, where are you from? And I was like, give a guess. And he was like, oh, India. I was like, no. I was like, okay. What about? I don't know. I was like, okay, I'm from the Middle East. And he was like, oh yeah, I've been to the Middle East. I've killed some Middle Easterns and stuff like that. And he was he was a little drunk. I wouldn't say, but it was really bad. He wasn't I would say he was conscious, okay? He said, I killed some Iraqis and stuff like that. It wasn't really a good conversation. But, and then he started talking about the FBI and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, are you okay, man?
So you're asking him if he's okay.
So the main question was, so what's your general experience with white people? And the reason I paused is because I want to bring up something very important. When he was talking about white people, he never mentioned his general experience with white people. He immediately started listing some of the worst experiences he's had with white people when asked the question, what is your general experience with white people? The reason that this is alarming is because imagine if somebody asked you if you're not black, what's your general experience with black people? And they start naming the worst experiences they've had with black people in their entire life. What would this tell you about them? It would tell you that, maybe they don't really think that fondly of having experiences with black people. And this is kind of what I'm getting from this interaction. When somebody asks you, what's your general experience? They're not asking you, what is your worst experiences that you've ever had with said person or said situation. They're asking, what's your average experience? And by him not bringing up the average experience he's had, it kind of just tells me what he really thinks about white people. But maybe I'm reaching, maybe I'm speaking too soon. Let's watch. Hey y'all, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe.
I didn't say that. I was scared of my life, of course, because if I said anything, I just said Middle Eastern. If I said Saudi, he would, I don't know what he'd do,
Okay. You gave me two experiences. What about, dude, you've been here 2 years. There's a whole bunch of white people that you're interacting with. What's your average interaction with white people?
Okay. Let's talk about the average. Okay, so most probably here people are educated in the university.
Yeah.
So I think.
Except the guy that asked you about.
Yeah, that guy. It's crazy. Okay, so most probably, especially in the engineering, petroleum engineering, a lot of professors are they have a good idea about Saudi and Muslim people because there's a lot of Saudis in the petroleum classes. So I don't feel from day to day
Okay. How about your other classes? Do you I want to go back to what he said. He said he meets people. People seem really nice. Are white people nice? On average.
Yeah, on average, yes. They're kind, especially here in State College. But I want to say before coming here, I thought life is really dangerous. So I do have the same like thoughts you guys have back like home in Saudi. I do have thoughts like Dayos is like dangerous. There's serial killers, all kind of stuff, you know. So yeah, it's just like it's a stereotype. It just was scary.
Then why did you bring up your worst experiences with white people? Do you know how, bro, that is extremely dangerous. Like, and the reason that is dangerous is because if you start a conversation implying your worst experiences with an entire race, what are people? This is how people think. The whole conclusion that they're going to draw from that conversation is, wow, maybe this group of people is bad. And that's why this is dangerous. And this is why a lot of people have these beliefs of other races, because they're only hearing the bad from it. They're not hearing the average. They're hearing the minority bad situations. And this is something that's happening now. Because as you said, he said, yeah, on the average, I've had very good experiences. They're extremely kind and they're extremely educated. But what did he do? He brought up the worst experiences he's had. And I want y'all to remember that. Because that's what a lot of people do when it comes to black people. When it comes to Middle Eastern people, like, for example, when it comes to other races of people, people bring up the worst experiences. When on average, it's just great people.
My life once I came here. So once I went with my family to Philadelphia, and we arrived at night. It was really, really scary.
Yeah.
Hey,
Like,
that would be kind of
I don't
scary.
want to
though.
offend anyone from here from Philly. I guess like there's a lot here from Philly, but downtown Philly is really scary.
Dude, Tay knows, man. She's from Philly, and that's why she's here. She's like, shit. All right, okay. All right, okay. So in other words, white people are okay. It's black people. They're scary. White
What?
people are all right, though.
No, I didn't say that.
I thought he just said that. Didn't he just say that?
I said
oh, no, you
Philly.
said Philly.
I said
Okay, you
Philly.
said Philly. All right. In fairness, you did say Philly. All right. I guess
No,
I'm the racist.
it wasn't. No. It wasn't like black people.
No.
You're putting words in my mouth.
I know I am, dude.
I'm talking
He's good.
generally.
No, he's all good. Yeah, you're good, bro. When you have I said anything that like pops out for you? Did he say anything that kind of comes out of like what's your general experience of white people, as a you know, someone who's East Asian, Korean? Your
Mind you.
general experience, not
He repeated general experience. Let's see what happens.
like, you know, we're going to talk about specific experiences.
When I introduce myself, I'm from Korea, then the follow-up question usually comes up, are you from North or South? So, like, I'm sure someone has asked that question. It's not really offensive question, but I think it's a bit ignorant question. Like, have you been on the news? Like, would I be in the US if I were from, well, okay.
It is kind of an ignorant question, because if you know, you can't really leave North Korea. But is that an offensive thing to ask? Maybe it's because I'm a little too American. To me, I'm like, okay, that's a question. Like, if you're from a state and you're accustomed to that state, like you say you're from California, like oh, what city are you from, or what part of Cali are you from, or you say you're from, I don't even know, New York. You're like, oh, what borough did you live in? It's just something that Americans ask. It's like, it's just kindness. So it's like, is that wrong? Are we bad for that? I don't know.
Chances are highly unlikely.
Yeah, the chances are highly unlikely that I'm talking to you one-on-one.
Okay, and then just what else though? What's your average perception of white people?
So most of my friends that I met from Penn State are white. They're usually in sororities.
Are they nice? Are they?
Yeah, they're nice. They're my friends. So, but when I'm on FaceTime, when I'm back in Korea and I'm like on FaceTime with them, they always ask like, "Is there Starbucks in Korea?" Like, they always ask like
Stuff like that.
like them thinking that some other country other than the U.S. is underdeveloped or like
What?
like not westernized enough.
What?
I don't know, like,
Okay, so one of your experiences of people, is that unique to white? Is that all people? That can't be just white people, because like black and brown people are pretty not very aware either.
could be, but Unfortunately, my friend group is not that diverse.
Okay.
So I can't really say that, not intentionally, but
Yeah, I'm black. But I would ask the same thing because in my mind, I'm like, Starbucks was created in America. So is there a Starbucks in Korea? I don't. Maybe they have their own Starbucks. Maybe they have their own. Is that a bad question? Maybe it's just something wrong with the way we communicate out here. I feel like when I watch these type of videos, people take dialect that's just like American dialect or Americans' way of like trying to be social. Like we ask a lot of questions. We say, "Oh, where are you from? Like, what is it like out there? Like, how is it?" That's how we communicate. That's how we get to know each other. And I feel like people who aren't used to that think it comes off as, wrong. But when I hear it, I'm just like, is that a bad question? But maybe I just need to, expand my horizon. I don't know. I think it's normal, but hey.
like being in Madison, like I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin, which is predominantly white, and I went to like private school, which was 99% white, and I was the one girl who was bringing the diversity to the whole school. So
and there your experience of white people is
that, I mean, they were curious about me. They wanted to get to know me because everyone had their families, and I was living alone. Like I was living with my host family, so they always like try to invite me to Thanksgiving, Christmas. So yeah, people are friendly and nice, but I don't think it was because they were white people. I think it was because they're people.
They're more, yep. And I think, but on average, Americans are pretty friendly. But nonetheless, lots of people around the world are very friendly. But Americans are at the upper, more friendly kind of area, us group. Yeah. Okay. But you'd say at the same time, though, you don't really see I'm hearing people, there's not like really a great difference. It's Americans.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, bro, how do people in Nigeria, before you came here, when you think about coming here and being with white people and like black Americans, like how do people distinguish? Do people, like, to what degree do people see black Americans as just white American, like they don't make a distinction?
Okay, so first off, for black Americans, most of us, especially in the middle class Nigerian home, we grew up watching CNN, BBC, Sky, like mostly Western media. So every time we see images of our country, our people, is often bad. But a few times we see images of black people, is of black Americans. And it's like, oh, entertainment, popular actors, athletes. So black Americans kind of like form like a positive image of black people. Like that was like the only positive image of black people we saw in the media. And
oh, you mean people who are in entertainment and performance arts? Okay. What? Because otherwise you see negative images?
Yeah, mostly every time we saw about Africa in whole, it's mostly, donates to this, or some kid on the news that's malnourished. But I do want to point out about you said something about racism.
Yeah.
So for Nigerians especially, from my class, from lower class to middle class, from where I am.
He's beating around the bush. Like, I feel like he wants to say something bad, but he hasn't said it yet. And I know I'm probably reaching, but you got to think. We're both watching this video together, and I did not pause it on purpose. He's been talking for about a minute and a half, and he hasn't really said anything yet.
For racism, we didn't only think white people, because we've had a lot of experiences. We've had racism from Arabs. We've had racism from...
Dude, wait, hang on one second. Yo, can you stop talking? Really? Thanks, man.
Oh,
now he's talking about your people, bro. I'm gonna let him throw you under the bus. All right, go ahead. Tell us about the racist Arabs.
So we have a lot of Arabs in the country, and we also have a lot of Indians and a lot of Chinese people too. And our experiences with them a lot, most times, are very racist. Like they think we're inferior to them. So when we think about racism in general, it wasn't just white people.
Okay.
It was basically almost everybody against us.
Okay.
So when I came to the U.S. and I heard of POC as a term,
People of color.
people of color, is like a united kind of alliance between every minority. It was kind of like a shock because people of color.
To his defense, I don't really understand the term POC either, because it is kind of like grouping every person who's not white together, and it's kind, to me, it's kind of a strange thing because you got to think about it from this perspective. That term wasn't really popular until about the last 2 years. So for the first 18 years of my life, I did not hear that term at all. I didn't even know what that meant. So it's like everything just kind of sprouted out of nowhere with that. I'm just like, what? People's color. At first, when I first heard it, I didn't even know what that term meant. I was like, what is POC? I keep saying that around, but I have no idea what this is. So that was a shock to me too, in his defense.
Oh, we all suffering racism against white people or from white people or something like that.
Okay, I got you. So this is really interesting, right? You're seeing like how, like here in the United States, if you're an American in particular, we have this sense of like this vision of the way we categorize racial groups and so on. Like it just defines everything about life, but it doesn't define most of the world. It's a very unique perception or way of seeing things here. So when you think about Black American, so here you have African Americans, right? African American. We can come back to this and have another class on it. It would be really interesting to have a conversation between Africans and African Americans. But like, how distinctly do people on average see African Americans? Like, how distinct are they from white Americans? Let me just stick with black and white.
So first off, we know we're different from African Americans.
Okay.
And then obviously white Americans are different from African Americans. And I would be lying to say we haven't seen stereotypes of African Americans, especially in our media. And a lot of times, sometimes they're portrayed as good, like popular actors and the likes, and sometimes they're portrayed as like really bad, like robberies, murders, a lot. So I think from my limited view of African Americans before coming to the US, that was probably it. It was like the good side, they're big, they represent black people in a good image sometimes. Yeah. And sometimes they represent black people in a bad image.
Okay, so let me ask this. This will be my last question to you. So, like, is there to what degree, where's the conversation about black Americans that's like, who want to really identify with Africa, but they're Americans? It's like, dude, you're an African, and like, you're an American. Like, what's this stuff about African American, like whatever? Is that a conversation among a lot of Nigerians?
I will say we do like encourage a lot of, like back home, a lot of African Americans to come visit or see the culture and stuff like that. Yes, but to say that we're like the same people is kind of like bizarre. Now, yes, we know that from history they did descend from West Africa, primarily Nigeria and Ghana. We know of this. Yes, but like we feel like they've made a history for themselves and a culture for themselves that we are now distinct groups.
Got you. So it's a distinct world. It's like you're from the continent. They're not from the continent. They're from the United States.
Yes, they're Americans.
Got you. Yeah, they're Americans.
And this is why when people say like, this is not our culture, this is not where we're from, I disagree, because this is our culture. This is where we're from. We are Americans. And people try to act like this is not our home, but it definitely is our home. This is our only home. But I'm gonna end this video here. I think I've gotten a lot from this video already. If you do want to watch it, it's called Students Experience with White People, from social119.org. It's LFR Jojo, and I'll see you from the next one.